mentally to ward off any kind of illness we expect and hope. So without further ado, I would like to have an opening prayer. I thank everybody that arrived on time. We appreciate that. And then I'll turn the time over to Pedro Osorio from the Uchee Pines Institute. I had already mentioned in Friday nights and yesterday's lecture that Uchee Pines is a lifestyle center in Alabama that has been teaching simple approaches to health preservation for, what is it, about 50 years now, Pedro?
Yeah, yes, 50 years. We just celebrated our 50-year anniversary.
Right. So we've been enjoying the presentation so far. Shall we pray? Father in heaven, we dedicate this day to you. We believe that you are always dedicated and committed to us and to our well-being, as well as the well-being of the world. We praise and thank you for that revelation, that you are a God of love and healing. Please use the time now as we go through this morning's activities to bless us and to enable us to be a blessing to one another and to the people we meet in this world. Be with the presenters, help them to have joy, peace, and clarity of thinking so that the experience is full and rich for all of us. Thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, Pedro, I guess it's yours.
Yes, and so we just want to thank you at Uchee Pines here for inviting us to present to you guys. And so what we want to do as well is let you know that we will be doing rest, then trust in God, and then we'll be switching over to our hydrotherapy and to our simple home natural remedies. So our goal is to equip you, give you the knowledge so that you can not only serve those in your home, but also share it with those that are in your sphere of influence. So that is our prayer. And so I don't want to take any longer. One last thing, we're going to try to keep all Q&As till the end. And I know I said this Friday and we ran out of time, but we're really going to make sure that we leave time at the end to answer any questions about any of the presentations on Sabbath, the Friday, on Sabbath, or today. So please take your, hopefully you have a paper and pencil. You can write down your questions, and we should have at least 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A at the end. Thank you, and I'll be turning it over to Brother Eric Kelly. He'll be giving our first two presentations.
Good morning, friends. Thank you, everybody. Pedro, the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Okay, friends. So today we're going to be going over rest and trust in divine power. Just as a brief review, what we covered yesterday is N for nutrition, E for exercise, W for water, start, so S for sunshine, T for temperance, A for air, and now we're doing R for rest, and T for trust in divine power. Okay, so here we go. We want to let you know some interesting facts about bears. What's really interesting is when they hibernate for the winter, a lot of things happen that help them physiologically. One is their pads actually shed so that they're ready for the new year. If they go into hibernation pregnant, they will not actually have birth until their body, until they have enough fat to do that. A number of other things. So while they're sleeping, a number of important physiological things happen in their lives.
Pedro, can I interrupt a second? Pedro.
Correct.
I think we might. Sorry, I think the sound is getting distorted. Maybe we need to, if you could set it up to go through the phone like we did that first day.
Okay, that's fine.
What do you think, Jerry? Are you hearing what I'm hearing, like phase shifting?
Can you give them full? Yeah. Okay,
Jerry.
let's try something. We're gonna try and test.
Yeah.
Test real quick.
Yeah, and I think the microphone is very far also.
Yeah.
So
Okay, we're gonna try a simple test here. 1 second.
oh, that's
That's
better. Oh, that's better right off.
Now, can you test? Can you just say
Yeah.
test, test, test,
Test.
test, test?
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, test.
What is it?
Is that better?
It is, but we're getting an echo now.
It's because, yeah.
Yeah. Come on.
Maybe one of the other devices is logged on there.
See if the computer is muted. Say test again, test again.
Test, 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 test.
I still hear the reverb. How about you, Jerry?
There's echo. Yeah.
There's an echo. I noticed that more than one phone was logged in with your name originally. Your Pedro Osorio phone is still
Can you hear?
logged on.
Test, test.
Yeah, that's better.
Better, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
The echo's done.
You want to plug my earphones into Celia's so you can hear.
No, it should be.
I'm on now, so I don't know if that affected.
Just so you know, from our end, we see you sitting at the table on a phone called Celio, and we see Pedro Osorio is still open on another box.
Can you ask him if it's good enough?
Hmm?
Can you ask him if there's an echo?
He's saying there's two phones logged on.
Yeah.
So there's yours and Celia's.
Right. Let's see yours. But we should only, mine doesn't have any audio on though.
Right. Okay. Well, let's keep going then. Keep going.
I'm on mute, I believe.
See here.
Oh, this doesn't have any earphones. Oh.
I have the adapter.
Turn to me. You see, so my audio should have been already joined by phone.
Yeah, I already joined my phone. Try that.
What's that?
Oh, wait. Okay. This is
What do you? But you can already hear 3 years ago. You should be fine. So you don't need to. Okay. I think we're good. Can you just test one more time? Test, test, test. Pastor Steve, Brother Jerry,
Yeah.
is that good? Is the echo gone or is it still here?
The echo's gone.
What is it? He said the echo's gone. Okay, let's keep going. Let's try it again. If not, I have my phone here ready to use.
Okay, good.
Okay, let's go back.
Sorry about that. Maybe you
What
can
was the
back
last
up-
thing that you?
Yeah. back
Yeah,
up a
sure,
little
I'll do
bit.
that. Where do you want me to back up to?
The mountains, the
Pedro-
green mountains slide.
Okay, got it. I'm just gonna go back
Sorry,
here.
everybody.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so we're back on. So basically what I was saying, sorry about the technical difficulties, is that it's really interesting when you look at different animals, what happens to them as they're sleeping. So for instance, bears, when they hibernate, a number of important physiological processes occur. The pads of their feet renew in time for the new season and they kind of slough off. In addition, if they go into hibernation pregnant, they will not have birth until the body detects that they have enough stored fat to get them through it. A number of other things happen as well, showing the importance of sleep. And with us, it's the same way. A number of important things happen. I'm hearing that echo again, but hopefully it's not there on your side. So there are 5 different types of rest. There is daily rest that we get at night. There is weekly rest, which is important, part of the 7-day cycle. There is recreation rest, taking time in between work. There is meditation rest, resting in Jesus. And there is also the final rest of death, waiting to be woken up by the life giver. So I'm just going to go through some things here regarding circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm is basically the body's internal clock, and it's telling us when we're supposed to sleep, when we're supposed to rise, when we're supposed to eat.
and it's very important for the release of certain hormones that we need. Pass this right here. These are the different stages for the sleep cycle. There's stage 1, which is light sleep. It takes 5 to 10 minutes to get into this. Our brain waves slow down during stage 2. Stage 3, delta waves begin to appear. Those are a little bit longer waves, and there's regeneration in the brain right now. Stage 4, there's no eye movement or muscle activity. And REM is the important part, rapid eye movement stage of deep sleep. Breathing becomes more rapid and irregular, and there's a lot of, that's where we store our memories. That's where we will be taking short-term memory and putting it into long-term memory. And so it's really important that we get enough sleep and that we sleep when the body is cued to sleep so that all these physiological processes can take place. Okay, I'm going to speed ahead here just so we get done on time. Okay. Let's see here. So here we can see kind of like a clock of what happens. 9 p.m. melatonin secretion starts, so we're getting ready for bed. Between midnight and 2 a.m., that is our deepest sleep, and we really hit deep sleep by around 2 a.m. By 4 a.m., the body's temperature is the lowest. The sharpest blood pressure rise is at 6:45. By 7:30, melatonin secretion stops. So that is the time that we're supposed to wake up by at least. We'll keep going. And this is important, hormones that are produced during sleep. So if we sleep at the right time, certain hormones are going to be produced while we're sleeping. And this really helps our immunity and our ability to fight off disease. Melatonin is important to kind of cause the body to rest. We have human growth hormone that's produced during sleep as well. This is important for repair of the body's tissues. We have interleukin. This helps us to deal with stress and helps fight off disease as well. We have serotonin. This is the happy hormone. This helps us also to deal with stress and have feelings of just calmness in our mood, smoothness of mood. Epithalamin helps us to deal with emotional stress. Cytokines as well help us to deal with stress and disease. And these are some of the benefits of good sleep. One is mental process. Did you know that actually while we're sleeping, the body is washing out the brain? We have something called cerebrospinal fluid that sinks down into the crevices of the brain while we're sleeping and actually washes it out so that our body processes during the day are clear. We can think more clearly. Okay, it can help us to prevent sleepiness during the day, help us to deal with emotional stress, increase cardiovascular function, and again, fight off disease. Okay, I'm going to speed up just for lack of time. Now, here are tips to enhance proper sleep. Getting good exercise really prepares us for sleep. Avoiding late night exposure to bright lights, especially the lights of cell phones, other media like TV, videos, things like that. You also don't want to eat too late at night. You want to avoid caffeinated products because even if you can fall asleep, those will affect your ability to enter into deep sleep. And taking long naps. Probably the best amount of time to take for a nap is 20 to 30 minutes during the day, maybe in the afternoon. But if you sleep long periods, it can actually affect your rhythm later on in the day. Here are herbs that can help to induce sleep. We're going to go through some of them right here. So the first one that we're going to go into is valerian root, also hops, chamomile, and lavender. You can just make these into teas by steeping them for about 20 to 30 minutes in boiling water that you've taken off the stove. And that is it for that presentation. The next one we're going to go into is trust in God. And of all the natural remedies that we have covered so far, I think this one is probably the most important. We can do everything right, but trust in God gives us that calmness and peace that will get us through the storms of life. Matthew 21 and 22 says, "Verily I say unto you, if you have faith and doubt not, you shall not only do this which is done to the fig tree, but also if you shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed and be cast out into the sea, it shall be done. And all things whatsoever you shall ask in prayer, believing, you shall receive." Sometimes in life, there are mountains in front of us that it just doesn't look like we can climb. It might be mountains of stress, mountains of depression, mountains of guilt, mountains of anxiety or anger. Life throws a lot of challenging circumstances at us almost on a daily basis. And even now, we have this mountain of a national crisis, an international crisis. And we kind of wonder, how can we actually get through this? What is it, how do we get through an uncertain situation in the world like coronavirus, when everything is getting shut down, when people are losing their jobs, when people around us are getting sick? Is there someone or something we can trust in an uncertain world? Can we trust in money? Can we trust in our job? We see that all of those things are being taken away. Can we trust in friends? Is there anything else that we can trust in? Many of those things actually get taken away from us. But what if we tried God out? Psalm 125 verse 1 says, "They that trust in the Lord will be as Mount Zion, which cannot be removed but abides forever." Now, I just want to talk a little bit about a placebo. I'm sure many of you are familiar with placebo pills. A placebo is something that seems like a legitimate medicine, but in reality, it is nothing more than colored water or a starch pill that has no medicinal value. They use it to make sure that in clinical trials, they will use it to compare to the actual medication to see how much of the improvement, if a patient does receive an improvement, how much of it is actually due to the medication versus just the person believing that something is going to happen for them. So if you give them a sugar pill, which has no medicinal value in it, and you have something else that actually is the medicine, and there's a difference between the two, then you can actually see how much is just due to trust in that product and how much is actually physiological. So what does the research say regarding trust in God? Well, there's some studies done in the American Journal of Public Health, the Journal of Gerontology, the Social Science Journal, and the Journal of Religion and Health, and the Journal of Social Sciences and Medicine. And we're going to go into some of these studies. What do they show? What are the benefits to those who trust in God and associate with others through regular church attendance? Okay. Oops. Somehow it went ahead. Let's go back here. Okay. All right. So one is longer life. Let's see. I'm going to go into this a little bit. Research has found that there are lower death rates than non-church goers, regardless of risk factors. In a 6-year controlled study by Duke University, which consisted of 4,000 people, people who attended church weekly were found to have a 28% lower risk of death. Better health also. There are fewer symptoms and better health outcomes in blood pressure, heart disease, and cancer studies. Also, there are fewer symptoms with addictions, less prone to depression and suicide, and less dependence on alcohol and other harmful drugs. They had a 53% faster recovery rate, 3 times more likely to survive open heart surgery, stronger immune function. And this is taken from the Washington Post in an article entitled "Prayer's Power to Heal Strangers is Examined." And they quote, A growing body of evidence has found that religious people tend to be healthier than average and that people who pray when sick have better results than those who don't. And just for lack of time, I'm going to skip ahead. We see that endorphin levels go up. This is helping us to deal with stress when we trust in God, brings peace to the soul. It helps with immunity. I'm going to skip here to get to the practical part. Friends, we can apply all the natural remedies, but what's the one that's missing here? It's trust in God. So what does it look like to trust? How can we practically apply trust in God in everyday life? Basically, it is this. It is simple childlike trust in any circumstance we find ourselves in, whether it's big, like losing a loved one, or whether it's small, like when you're a child and you scrape your knee. So how can we practically apply this? Well, the first step is spend time getting to know the God that is better than we can imagine. And we need to expose ourselves to him to actually believe that he is as good as he is. So looking at the life of Jesus, spending time with him, beholding his character, understanding him more and more will help us to be more and more able to confide in him, able to trust in him, able to believe in him when we go through the hardest challenges that we have ever experienced in life. It's like a child when they go through a trial. If they have a parent that has come through for them every time, a parent that they love, they know that they can trust that parent even in an emergency. And so we need to get to that state as well, where even in an emergency, we believe in the power and the willingness and the desire of that heavenly parent to help us. So spend time getting to know him. More than any other time, I think now it's a wake-up call that we really need to get to know our God. After we get to know him as a friend, it becomes more and more easy to open our hearts to him as to a friend. If we have confidence in him, we will be able to take to him all of our cares, all of our worries, all of our anxieties, all of our challenges. And the third is the more we get to know him, the more we talk with him, the more confidence we have that when he says something, that he means it. So the third step is claim God's promises and put them to the test in your life. Now, you might not know this, but the original word for promises, it comes from two words, and it actually means self-committals. So think about that. When God gives us a promise, it is him saying, I commit myself to doing this. And if we trust that heavenly parent, then we're going to believe if he puts his name on the line for what he says he will do for me, then I believe that he's going to come through for me. It's basically just like a child trusting into their hands into a loving parent. And this is a statement that I really love. And friends, I would challenge you to apply it at home and find the results. This is taken from Desire of Ages, page 83, a book that the Library of Congress, one of the members of the Library of Congress said is the best book that they have ever seen written on the life of Jesus. It says, it would be well for us to spend a thoughtful hour each day in contemplation, so thinking of the life of Christ. We should take it point by point and let the imagination grasp each scene, especially the closing ones, meaning going up to the cross. As we thus dwell upon his great sacrifice for us, our confidence in him will be more constant. Result number one, we gain more confidence in God. Result number two, our love will be quickened or made alive. And number three, we shall be more deeply imbued with his spirit. If we would be saved at last, we must learn the lesson of penitence and humiliation at the foot of the cross. So let's spend time looking at the life of Jesus, looking at the Gospels, reading them, looking at the character of Christ, looking at his principles, just filling the mind with thoughts of Jesus. The more that we do that, the more we'll be able to trust in him. And I believe it's time to end. Okay, just want to share this last really quick story. John and Charles Wesley, the famous Methodist founders of Methodism, were crossing the Atlantic and they back to England, and they thought that they were believers in God. But there was a group of German pietists called Moravians. And in the midst of the storm, these two Englishmen, John and Charles Wesley, thought that they trusted in God. But when they were faced with certain death, they realized that they didn't have the peace that they needed. Yet they noticed that in this small group of Moravian pietists, these men were totally unafraid of death because of the trust that they had in their maker. And he went and he asked them afterwards, why when everyone was going out, why when everyone was losing all composure, were you so composed? And they said, you know, our lives are given to God. If he chooses to put us to rest, then we are content with that. If he chooses to use us continued in his work, then we are okay with that. We have delivered our lives to him. And we have that same opportunity, friends, to give our lives into the hands of the one who loves us, and we can have composure and health in the midst of the storm. Let's have a closing word of prayer. Father, we thank you so much for this. We thank you that we can trust in you. We ask that you make this a reality in our lives. We thank you and we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Hello, everybody. So that was the first part of our presentation today. Pedro finished the 8 natural remedies, as they're called. We thank him for doing that. I think the rest of the program now will be hands-on demonstrations of simple treatments we can do at home. So I'm sure they'll be on in a moment.
No, Pastor Steve, did you mention something?
I just gave a rundown for our participants on the screen. What's to come next?
Perfect, thank you. So we're just moving our camera a little bit so we can stage for the next practical hands-on treatment. So we're gonna go on with hydrotherapy, and I'll let Sister Stephanie introduce what treatment she'll be presenting on here.
I might make one technical observation too. You remember about 10 minutes ago during your speech, you heard an echo very briefly. Do you remember that, Pedro?
Oh, I'll hand it back to him so you can talk to him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Hello.
Yeah, Pedro, just wanted to let you know that whenever,
Yes.
if there's more than one phone that gets logged in at your location, that's what creates the echo. So just keep that in mind. If people log on again from there, they should be muted.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, we actually asked everyone to log off, so it should only be my laptop and this one cell phone now.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you. Just
But
wanted
let
to
us know
make
if there's
that
an
note.
echo in the future, though, please.
I will.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right, good morning, everyone. Nice to be with you. Should I be hearing them?
Yes, they're speaking.
Okay.
No, they might be on mute.
Okay, so just go ahead. All right, so nice to be with you again. Just a reminder, my name is Stephanie and I'm a lifestyle counselor trainee here. Today we'll be starting with our first hydrotherapy treatment, which is the hot foot bath. So let's start out with the things we will need, and then we'll get into a bit more of what it is. All right, so for our hot foot bath at home, what we'll need is a chair. So under here, we have a chair, and then over that chair, we have a blanket. And then over the blanket, we have a flat sheet. Then there's a floor mat and there's a basin. And in this basin is where we'll put our hot water. We also have a kettle where the hot water will be to keep going. And we'll just explain how that works later. We'll also need another basin with ice water. And then we'll also need water for the person to drink, and just a few washcloths and a hand towel. and a clothes peg, and all of these will come into play. All right, so let's talk about what we use the hot foot bath for. So in hydrotherapy, the essence is the use of hot and cold. And so what heat does in a hydrotherapy treatment, wherever heat is applied, it calls blood to that particular area. And wherever cold is applied, then it sends blood away from the area. And so when you have your feet in a bath of hot water, it will call blood to your feet. Now, what this is good for is any type of congestion, congestion in the head, congestion in the chest, congestion in the pelvic area. We use this treatment for colds and flus. We use this treatment for hypertension. So basically what you're doing is calling blood from other parts of the body to the feet. All right, so as I said, any congestion. When don't you want to use this? The person should be able to properly sense cold and heat, because you don't want to burn them. So if there's any obstruction to their sensitivity, any lack of sensitivity at all, you want to be very careful. So today I'll be working with a volunteer, my sister, Rachel, and she'll be coming up. And then we'll be demonstrating how you do this at home. All right, so please sit for me. And after the presentation, trust in God, what would be the first thing we do for a treatment like this? We would pray, because we know that it is by faith that we are healed. So the first thing you want to do is pray and ask for God's healing power. Now, Rachel, very nice to have you. So what I have here is my hot water. So I will take my guests or my family members' foot, and I will have them test that. Right? I will have them test that and ask them, is it too hot? It's bearable, good. All right, so I want you to put both feet in. All right, good. And at this point, I will be wrapping Rachel. And we are also going to use a clothes hanger. Now, what this clothes hanger will do is prevent the sheet and blanket from falling into the water. So that's just why we're using it. So we'll set it between and, yes, right on top and between her legs. All right, so I am going to wrap one end of the sheet, and it goes all the way around the basin, because you're trying to trap the heat. And this should also induce some sweating, which gives a detoxifying effect as well. And then the other end. And then the blanket. So at this point, let's say your blanket isn't large enough to cover all the way up to the neck. You can always use a hand towel around the neck to trap the heat, and this is where your clothes peg comes in to secure it at the back. It isn't large enough to cover all the way up to the neck. You can always all right. The point where the person starts sweating, you would use the ice water to cool the head. You want to keep the head cool. So this would be a washcloth dipped in ice water. You can put one across the head, and then you can use one for the face. And you're gonna keep doing this throughout your treatment. And of course, switching them as they get warm.
Bing.
You're also communicating with the person that you're treating. So Rachel, is the water on your foot still hot enough? Could you take some more heat? Okay, so at this point, maybe about 3 minutes to 5 minutes into the treatment, you would need to add more hot water. So you take the kettle, and then you're going to ask the person you're treating to just put their foot to the side Of course, you want to protect them. So you're mixing the hot water in, and you're also communicating at every step. You're asking, is this too hot? It's good. It's good. Could you take a little more? You always want them to take as much as they can. Could you take a little more heat? All right. And then you cover. Now we want to do this for at least half an hour, right? For the treatment. If it's a really severe case, 45 minutes, as much as they can take. So I'm going to show you how to end the treatment. So after all of this, always using the cold to keep ahead, we end the treatment by starting at the foot, right? So you would remove the blanket and sheet. And there are two ways to do it. The preferable way is to do a cold pour on the feet. So you would take the cold water, you'd lift her feet, which would not have socks on them. And you would pour the cold water over the feet. And what this does is that it sends blood back to all the areas of the body. You would dry the feet, and that's when you would put the socks on. Then we would do all over the body what's called a cold friction. So you unwrap. And you may be asking, what does the person wear during this treatment? As little clothes as possible, all right? And then you would use, starting at the feet, do a cold friction. It's like a brisk rub with the cold cloth, wringed dry, not dripping. And then you do the arms, you do the back, you can allow the person to do their chest. And of course, if they really need water, then you can allow them to drink during the treatment. At this point, the person would rest for about half an hour to an hour, or as long as they need. And of course, a few points. The room should not be cold. Room temperature, keep your windows closed. If the patient gets chilled, if the person gets chilled, then you'll find that you nullify the treatment. So even after you give them the cold friction, you want to wrap them back in the blankets and you bring them to bed to rest. During rest is when the immune system is at its optimal function. So that's it for, and keep giving them water. And that's it for the hot foot bath.
Hello, everybody. This is Pastor Siciliano. In case you're wondering what the pause is, they are transferring their setup so that they can demonstrate the next hydrotherapy treatment. Just wait a few minutes and they'll be back.
Okay, are you on? All right, is everyone hearing me? I hope so.
Yes.
So now we will be doing the facial contrast. That treatment consists in, you have two basins, one with cold water and the other one with hot water. And you do 30 seconds in the cold and 3 minutes in the hot. And why is that good treatment, especially in the season that we are in? That treatment is very helpful for persons that have problems in the sinus, including running nose, or even because of the pollen, some persons can get allergies. So that treatment is very, very good for you. Well, the contraindications for that treatment, if the person have anything, any bruise or something that is hurting, or bad circulation in the area, you might do not want to do that. And that treatment you also can do it anywhere of the body. You can do it in your hands,
If you sprain your ankle, you can do in your ankle, and just goes on what the condition is. But today we will be showing how is the facial contrast. So basically for the facial contrast, as I said, you have a basin, and this basin, you will put cold water. I have here a picture, and I will put the cold water here. And here, the red one, I will put the hot water. So I will be having also a kettle, and with that kettle, I would put it the hot water there, and I would stay. And I also will needed a towel. And you might be thinking, why do I need a towel? So that towel would be to go in the person's body, and in the time that they are going down, and in the time that you are going down to the water, the person doesn't get wet in herself. So you will be doing that treatment. You will be also using a snorkel, because many persons, they I believe a lot of persons, they cannot stay as much in the water. So you can use a snorkel, and you also will be having salt. So why do you need the salt? Salt is very good, especially when you do something related with the sinus, and you will be adding the teaspoon of salt in the beginning to the hot water. So you will start the treatment, and then you will be there in the hot. You take your snorkel, and then you stay there for 3 minutes in the hot. And at that time, you keep asking how is your client, and afterwards the person will go straight to the cold one. And in that meantime, that the person is still in the cold one, you will be putting more hot water, making the thing to be even hotter. So you'll be adding more, and make sure that you don't use your hands to mix the water, because they might have some things that came up in the water. So you can use your thermometer, and you mix everything, and then the person will come again. And how many times would you do that? Well, for persons that have problems with sinusitis or nasal congestion, you probably can do that 5 to 7 rounds. And at each time, you will be adding a little bit more salt, around a teaspoon to the hot water. And if it is a lot of salt, you also communicate with the person, so you know how to assess better your client. Just one more thing that I want to mention too is that that treatment is very good, and I have been seeing a lot of people that with congestion, that they actually helps a lot. So I highly recommended that treatment, and yeah, I hope you all enjoy.
Hi everyone. So today we're doing heating compress, right? So this is actually one of my favorite treatment. It's very, very simple, yet very effective. So two major goals of this treatment is to show the effect of cold, what cold does to the body. So the first effect of cold is that when you place cold on the body, it actually causes the white blood cells to be mobilized by moving away the inflamed blood. The second effect of cold is that after a while, it causes the body to heat up. So in this treatment, you will see that effect, right? So who can do this treatment? This treatment is perfect for the flu season. So if you are think early signs of the flu, this will be good for you. Cough, if you have a cough, sore throat, asthma, bronchitis, this is a perfect treatment to do. If you are normally easily chilled or get cold easily, this is not the treatment for you. If you don't know what is the cause of the problem, it's best to stay away from this treatment. So this treatment has three main things, right? So these are the ABCs of the treatment. So you want a cotton material, plastic, and a thicker material, mostly like a wool or something thicker. So we have my friend here is going to help to demonstrate today, Rachel. So for instance, if you're having sore throat, right? This is what you would do. So you get a cotton strip, right? And you put it in cold water. And when you put it in cold water, you wring it out, and it's not supposed to be dripping. And then you place the cotton around her neck. And then the next item is the plastic. So we have three items: cotton, plastic, and wool. So you take the plastic, you place it around. And then lastly, the wool. And you take it, you put it around it. It's very, very simple. And then you take a safety pin. And the good thing about this treatment is that you can use it overnight. You can even wear this heating compress if you want to go, say, to the store. All you can do is just take a scarf, and voila. Nobody knows that you have on the heating compress. So it's very convenient, and you can sleep with it in the night and sleep it in the night, and you can change this every 8 hours. And when you do change it, you're supposed to rest it for 1 hour. Then you take a cold cloth and you do a cold friction, dry the area, and rest, right? So for instance, if you're having, say, a chest problem, the same idea goes. So if you dip this in cold water, you put it on, plastic, and then you can have on a cute sweater, something thick to put over it. And you can just go out on your day, go for a walk or a run or something, sleep with it, and it's perfect. You can also do it for your foot as well. So time is well spent. So you can use a cotton socks, dip it in cold water, wring it out dry, place it on your foot. Then you can put the plastic over it, and then put the cotton, a thicker socks over it. Very simple and yet very effective. Thank you for your time. Yeah, so you can wear it. So you put, if it's not clear, so maybe put it on. So she put on, so you just place it on. It's wet, right? So it's gonna be cold. So you inform the person that it's cold, not dripping. So the second item, always remember plastic. Plastic. and then something fake, right? So it's wrong side, but sorry. We tuck it in and you put on this over here. So she is fully dressed. There you go. Thank you for your time.
Hello, friends. I didn't introduce myself last time. My name is Eric Kelly, and I'm a nurse practitioner here at Uchee Pines. Today, we're going to do a very interesting treatment. So really pay attention because this can help out with respiratory cases. It's called fomentation treatment. And these treatments were actually used back in 1918 when we had a similar outbreak of a very infectious disease called the Spanish flu that was running rampant throughout United States and also caused a lot of pneumonia cases. This is something that helped out tremendously. We had at our sanitariums, many people coming in with the sickness, but close to a 0% mortality rate when they were treated at the sanitarium. Now at the sanitarium, they would, take care of all the laws of life. You're getting good nutrition. They're teaching people how to boost their immune system. But when they used treatments, their principal treatment was the fomentation. That's what we're going to learn today. Fomentation is basically the application of moist heat to some part of the body. Today, we're going to be going over the lung area because that is what we're trying to fight, is respiratory illness. Now, the indications of fomentation treatment, that is why you would use it. These are some of the helpful effects. It's used for local congestion or infection. So if you're having maybe some fluid accumulation in the lungs because of an infection, it can help to move that fluid away. Sleeplessness or nervousness. It increases circulation as well. So it's going to be pumping blood back and forth in the body, which helps to deliver nutrients and building blocks, building material, oxygen to the tissues. And it's also going to force the old blood away, taking away the waste and the remnants of the infection and everything. And so it's going to keep cycling the blood. It also will produce more white blood cells. So you're going to increase your white blood cell count, and then you're going to be moving them around so that they can go to the site of infection. You should not use this in people who have been heart attack victims. If they have a very weak heart, just take some caution with that. And with open wounds, you don't want to use it with open wounds. So I'm going to let you know right now what we're going to be using here, what you're going to need. So you're going to basically, you could use a massage table like we have here, or you could do this at home on your bed. Here's what you would need if you used the bed. Celio, can you get this? Okay, so on the bed, you're going to want a plastic sheet or a rubber sheet, basically something that's waterproof. You can even use a shower curtain for this, just so that the water doesn't soak into the bed. Then a fitted sheet, just like you'd have on the bed. You're going to have a pillow to be nice and comfortable. You're going to have a sheet to cover the person in, and a blanket on the outside that serves as insulation to keep the heat in. You're going to also need a little basin. This is for a hot foot bath. So we're going to put the person's feet in here. And again, we're going to have a towel underneath the foot bath so that we can make sure that there's no water getting around, and also so we can put their feet on this afterwards. I'm going to show you, in addition, where's the other fomentation? Rukia, do you know where where the towels are? Oh, there they are. Okay, so this is basically what a fomentation consists of. I'm going to show you a couple different options. So ideal is this is a fomentation pad. It's made up of 50% wool, 50% cotton. And it's really good because the cotton holds the moisture, the wool holds the heat. In addition to that, you're going to wrap the fomentation pad. This is ideal. It's to have a wool blanket. This is really good for keeping the heat in. You would just roll the fomentation pad like that, roll it up, and then you would apply this. If you don't have those, what you can do is here we have a towel that serves as our wool blanket. So you'd put the fomentation in the wool blanket. And if you don't have fomentation pads, which you can get at Uchee Pines, there's some other places you can get them online. But if you don't have them and you need to do something in a pinch, you can actually use a towel, just a regular bath towel like this. You would then roll it up. Actually, you insert it into a plastic bag that's big enough to hold it. You would then roll this plastic bag up. Well, actually, what you have to do first is you wet it completely, wring it dry, roll it up in the bag, stick it in the microwave. There you go. You can just stick it in your microwave, put it in there for 4 to 6 minutes. When it comes out, it's ready to go. You might need a mitt just to get it out because it's going to be kind of hot. Then you would just take your regular bath towel, take your towel that has the hot towel in it, and then just wrap it. So I'm going to have Pedro come up here, and we're going to show you how exactly this is done. Or Celio, we're going to have Celio come up. Okay. So Celio, if you can get in here. And before he gets in, I'm just going to show you what we have here also. We're going to have a fomentation to the back. This is because we want this to be a full body treatment. We want to apply things on the top over the lungs, and we also want it to go to the back. This is also going to help with relaxation. So what I have here is basically the same thing that I showed you. We've got the towel for insulation, and this towel inside should ideally be wrapped in a plastic bag, just so it doesn't get the remaining towels around it wet. So you put that there, and then he's going to come in here and lay down. Okay. And he would be, scoot down here. Yeah, and then put your feet in here, Celio. Now this water here would be generally around 102 degrees, around at least 102 degrees to 104, whatever they can take. If you don't have a thermometer, basically what you could do is you could just feel it with the elbow. Just stick your hand in there, stick your elbow in there to make sure it's not too hot. And you can also let their feet in first with your hands, so you can make sure it's not too hot. If it is too hot, then what you can do is just take a picture. Could someone get me a picture? You just have a pitcher of water, or excuse me, a pitcher to take out some of the water, take some out, dump it, you get another pitcher of maybe cooler water and fill it up. Okay, and then once his feet are in there, we're going to pull this down. Okay, now for actually applying the fomentation, once I get this out of the microwave, what I'm going to do is place this here over his chest. And the way that you would fold the towel is you'd have a big bath towel. This is lengthwise. You're going to fold it in two, and I'll show you why this is really important and very helpful. And then you're going to place it down across the chest and fold it like this. Now, the reason is this. These fomentation pads are very hot. You're going to want this to be very hot. And so I'm going to place it like that. And you can see that right now he has 2 layers. But with time, that could become too hot for him. So I'm going to cover it like this. And if in time he says, oh, you know what, it's burning my chest, you don't want it to burn them because this can actually cause significant burns, then all you have to do is pull this back, take the fomentation pad out, put another layer in there, and then put this back and fold it over again. Then you've got another layer. If they still say it's too hot, then what you can do is even pull this out and put a thin towel across again, put this back down, and then fold it over. So what we're gonna do is I would put that there, and then I'm gonna get another towel to provide insulation over the top, like that. I would cover him up, make sure that he's completely covered, because you don't wanna let heat out. Okay. And I would leave him here for around 3 minutes, ideally 3 minutes, about 4 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes. And then what we're going to do is you would also have a basin that is filled with ice water. This ice water you'd also have a little washcloth in there. And this is important because we need it to be contrast. We need there to be hot and we need there to be cold as well. So then once I would have this on a little table by the side. So once we've hit 3 minutes, I would pull this back, pull the towel back here, put this over here, pull the towel back. I would remove the fomentation, put it in the microwave. Pull that back, and then we're going to get this towel, and I'm going to, just like Stephanie said earlier, this is kind of like a scrub, a cold friction. So you're going to be going like this. You have to warn them ahead of time because it's going to be kind of a shock to them. And what this does is it actually pushes the blood away. So we do that. You want to make sure then that you dry them. So I have a little hand towel here. After the cold mitten friction, you'd make sure that you get them completely dry. If they remain wet, what can happen is if the moisture goes through the towel, it makes it very easy for them to get burned because the heat from the fomentation will go quickly and easily through the towel. So you want to make sure they're completely dry. Then after that's done, I'm going to put the towel back over him. And ideally, I would have had another fomentation pad going in the microwave when I took this one off. So it's ready to go and hot. Put this over again. And then the insulation again, cover him up. And that's one cycle. Now we would be doing around 3 to 6 or maybe even 7 cycles if you wanted to, depending on how bad they are. So one cycle consists of putting this on for 3 minutes. You'd remove it, take your cold washcloth that's sitting in the ice water, warn them that you're going to give them a little bit of cold for a little bit. You do that for 30 seconds. Then you take your towel, make sure that they're dry, and then apply it again. Now, when you're waiting for this 3 minutes to be over, you're also going to be checking your hot water here because the hot water is actually going to be losing temperature, losing heat as you go along. So you're going to ask them, how's the water? Is it too hot? Is it too cold? And then what you can do, you'd have 2 pitchers, one to take water from, and then one to put some water in, like warmer water, hotter water if you need. And that's basically how you would do that. At the end, what I would do is when he's done, I'm going to have I'm going to start first with the hot foot bath. What you're going to do is you're going to get a pitcher, take some of the water that you have here. You're going to get some of the cold water. Can you lift your feet up for me? Lift his feet up, and you're going to pour this over his feet so that you can close the pores. Take out the water bath, place it on the towel. Make sure that you dry off his feet completely, cover them. And now you're gonna go up and you're gonna remove the fomentation. So I'm gonna take this off, warn him that I'm going to be giving him a little bit of cold, do the cold mitten friction again, dry him off again. He's gonna then get up. I'm gonna ask you to get up, Celio. And then you're gonna put the cold back in and you're gonna do cold mitten friction over his back. He's gonna get up, you're gonna wrap him in a blanket or a sheet or his clothes, and you're going to then send him to rest for 45 minutes to an hour because the treatment will continue to work during that time. Now, just a quick note, there are different ways of doing this. You can stick it in the microwave for 3 minutes, or you can actually use a boiler. Where's the, oh, there's the boiler. Pedro, if we could just show this here. So you would boil water, and you'd have it there, and we're going to, this is a way that you can get the fomentation without actually burning yourself. You just dip it in the hot water and then wring it dry. That way you don't burn yourself. You just put it in enough to where it gets up to where your hands are, wring it dry, and it's ready to go. So if any part was not clear to anybody, just let us know at the end and we'll make sure to answer your questions.
Hi, everyone. My name is Andrea. I'm a lifestyle counselor student at Uchee Pines, and I'm happy to be here to share with you a simple home remedy. So, in this time with this virus, I'm going to show you how you can make a cough syrup or for sore throat as well. So I have a few simple remedies here, things that I'm sure you might have in your house. So you can use that to make this simple and delicious recipe. So let us get into it. So you know that many times we buy uh, things in the stores. We are not familiar with all the ingredients, but this one, I will go over to all the ingredients so you actually know what are you using. So I have onion here, and each of these ingredients, they have the unique um, properties. So onion, it's anti-inflammatory and antioxidants. And I have lemon juice, which is loaded with vitamin C, which is very good for your immune system. I have honey, and honey is to make it taste better, but it also has its medicinal properties, antibacterial and antimicrobial properties. And lastly, I have my essential oil, eucalyptus essential oil, which is anti-antiseptic and anti-inflammatory. So, and then you will need a cutting board, knife, your jars, mason jars, also spoon, spatula, sorry. So the first thing we're going to do, it's very simple. You just place your ingredients into the jar. You place it's in a half a cup of honey, and I'm using the pure and simple honey. You can also use the hot honey, which is better, I guess. So you just place it into the jar, your honey. Okay. And again, it's a half a cup of honey. And 1/4 cup of lemon juice. Like I was saying from before, lemon juice, it's loaded with vitamin C, which is good for your immune system. And now I'm going to cut my onion. You don't have to use the whole onion, just few slices. Okay, so you place your onion into the jar. You stir it. And add few drop of eucalyptus oil. You can also use golden seal. You can use echinacea oil, or even olive leaf essential oil. Few drops. Okay. And then you cover the jar, shake it up, let it sit for 1 hour, and afterwards put it into the fridge. You can take with your tea, you can just take it by itself, and I recommend 1 teaspoon for the person as much as you need. And this is actually your final syrup, and it tastes delicious. God bless you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chantal Chin, and I am a lifestyle educator at the Uchee Pines Institute. So we are going to be looking at onions today. So we're going to learn how to use onions both externally and internally as well. So what about onions? Onions have a lot of antioxidants in them, and antioxidants help to prevent free oxidative stress from building up in the body. And oxidative stress is when you have a lot of free radicals all over your body, and that can cause inflammation, it can cause cataracts, it can cause high blood pressure, a host of different issues. So that's what's good about the onion. It helps to prevent these types of diseases that are caused by these free radicals. Now, it also helps to reduce cholesterol, and it's also good for fighting inflammation. And majority of these diseases that we battle with is caused by inflammation, are connected to inflammation as well. There's also antibacterial and antiviral properties, which is something that's going to be very useful for us in getting over whether it's common cold or pneumonia or different flus, or, you know, we also have the coronavirus. This is something that you can utilize to help to either prevent or bring healing from those viruses. All right, so let's see how we can use it in a practical way. So you can create an onion disinfectant wash. Now, what you do, you get your onion, you slice it. Now, I'm only going to be using a little bit, but when you're making your onion disinfectant wash, you're going to want to use more than this. You're going to want to use like maybe a full onion instead. Now, you get your jar of water, and you add your sliced up pieces of onion into the water. Now, you can also use garlic as well, because garlic is also very antibacterial and antifungal as well as antibacterial and antiviral. So this is just a bit, but you can still add more as well as the garlic pieces. And you cover it over. And you leave this sitting for overnight or for several hours, so that the properties can be sucked into the water itself. Now, when you're done, you strain it, and you can use that to use as a disinfectant wash if you're having rashes, or if you have, for instance, a wound that is infected and isn't healing. So you can use the disinfectant wash. All right, so how do we take it internally for boosting the immune system? You know, you have a lot of different types of medications that they have out there, but we can also use the natural remedies that God has provided to us and use that instead to boost our immune system. Now, there's something called the Russian penicillin. Now, I don't have a blender here. That would be a bit too noisy right now. But to create a Russian penicillin, you use your onion. You're also going to get some garlic. You're going to get some orange, lemon, grapefruit, and you can also put the peel of that in there as well. You want it to taste good, you put a little bit of honey in there. Now, peppermint is also very good to use. You can put about 2 drops of peppermint or 1 drop of peppermint to 2 cups of the Russian penicillin, and you just blend the entire thing in that blender up, and you can store it inside your refrigerator. Because the honey is a part of it, it helps to prevent it from deteriorating or, you know, growing fungus or bacteria in there. So you keep it in your fridge, and you take a few tablespoons before you eat 3 times a day or 2 times a day, depending on how often that you eat. All right, so we're also going to look at infections in the air. So if you have an air infection, one of the things about the onion is that it also absorbs bacteria from the air. Now, because of that, let's say someone has a cold or the flu and they're coughing, they're sneezing, they're not feeling well, they're breathing out bacteria as well. You don't want them to be shut up in a room and breathing in the same viruses that they're breathing out. So you leave the window open so the air can circulate, and you slice an onion just like this. You don't want the whole onion, you want to slice it so that the inside is exposed. And you use that to absorb the bacteria that's filling the air, right? Now, what you can also do is get the onion. This is for air infection. You place it against the air, and you use a cling wrap, or you can also use a piece of cloth, whatever you're comfortable with, and you wrap it around the head or around the air. You can also lie down and place it on, but you want to leave it overnight, the whole onion, or you can slice it just like so and place it against the air and then wrap it around. You can also place a drop of garlic oil into the air before applying the onion. And by doing this, you can help to increase the healing of that air infection. Now, the last part that we're going to be looking at is the respiratory issues, creating a poultice. Now, with creating a poultice, this one is rather easy. You just get a piece of paper from home. You have your onion. Now, we can get 2 slices from this onion. And we're just gonna mash it up a little bit just to get the juice coming out of it. Because one of the properties that helps to prevent, that helps to kill the bacteria is the sulfur compound that's in here. So we want the juice coming out from it. And then we place this, here we go. We place this on top of our napkin. And what we're gonna do, we put it on one side so that we can fold it. See, the juice is seeping through. And we just take a tape. Oops. There we go. And we fold all 3 edges with this. Stephanie, can I use it just for a quick moment? Now, this can be used for respiratory issues. You can place it on the chest, but since we cannot place it on her chest at the moment, we're gonna demonstrate by placing it on her hand instead. And we use our wrap. We just wrap it around like this. And there we go. And we leave it overnight. And you can do it several different nights until the symptoms that you're experiencing subsides. So thank you so much for listening.
Hello, everybody. This is Pastor Siciliano again. I'm just reminding you that during these times when all you see is a blank name on the screen, it means they're changing the arrangement for their next demonstration. So you don't need to go anywhere. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, friends, I'm here again. I hope you all are not tired of me, but so today I will be demonstrating charcoal. Charcoal has some wonderful properties. In those properties, we can include to adsorb toxins. And what does that mean? Adsorb, not absorption. AD means that brings to itself, and when you ingest and you have any allergies, I heard that many people that have maybe peanut allergy or any allergy, even gluten intolerance, they use charcoal because it's a way that can relieve that problem. Because what happened, the charcoal binds the things to itself. And when this happen, and afterwards you expel that in your when you go to the bathroom. So you also can use the charcoal as a poultice. You can drink and use as a poultice. As a poultice is good for if you have any insect bites, ants, even poisonous snakes. You also can use that. In my country, where I'm from, in Brazil, I heard that lady, a friend of mine, told me that she got bit by a scorpion, and she used charcoal, and she didn't have to use the antidote. So that's just something to keep in mind. So I will be showing now how you can make when you are putting to drink. So I have here a cup. Make sure you put your water first, because if you put the charcoal first, will spill up. So you have your water, and then you take your charcoal. I have some charcoal here already. And you take around a teaspoon of charcoal. You take the charcoal, and then you put, and then you stir. And then you have your charcoal water, that this can be used for persons that have any toxin that they have in their bodies as a detox, and also can use in any case of allergies, as I mentioned. Or even if you got bit and you also want to drink and put the poultice together. So this is one way that you can be using the charcoal. But now I'm going to show you another way that you can show the charcoal, that is through a poultice. So how you do that? Here at Uchee Pines, we usually use a chuck's pad. But if you don't have a chuck's pad, that's okay. You also can use a paper towel. With that paper towel, what you can do, you will take a piece of paper towel and use that as your chuck's pad, let's say. For that, you will also need some grind flaxseed. Why? Because flaxseed will make it bind. And usually what the measure that I use 2 to 1, 2 of flax seeds to 1 of charcoal. So that's something that you also keep in mind. So I will put my charcoal. I will get my charcoal. I will put in a place that I can mix. And don't do like me, please. Please put your water first. Don't do like me and put your charcoal. That's good, because now you can see what's happening with the water goes. The charcoal usually goes up, but it's spill up. Okay, anyways, I have here the charcoal with the water. We take some water out. Okay. I get some more charcoal. And now you will be adding some flaxseed. And you keep stirring that and mixing until you have the consistency as a poultice. So that's the consistency that you want. And why we use also the flaxseed, not only because it's to bind, but flaxseed have some anti-inflammatory properties. So it's also good when you use flaxseed. So you add flaxseed as needed, and make sure you don't put a lot of water, so it will not be watery. And you don't want to be watery, you want to be like a paste, so it's easy to put in the place. And so I have here now like a paste, and what you will do, you will take the place that you want to do your poultice, and then you take that paste. You see the consistency that I have here, and then you will put in the paper towel, and make sure you spread around so it can be even. So you will spread. And also another thing that I would like to mention is that charcoal can stain your clothes. So make sure if you put this, maybe if we're gonna put overnight, you change your bedding. And if you're gonna put in your clothes, make sure you have some clothes that it's okay for you to get dirt in them. So after you have your poultice, you will put your poultice here as normal, like I said, and you have 2 paper towels, and then you fold one in the other, and then you just press a little. Then you will do like this. So you have the setup as a poultice. And then you need a tape. Why you need a tape? Because you don't want the thing to come out to the side, from the sides. So you will take a tape and put it on the sides that are not covered. So you do like this, and you put the tape in one side. And then you put the tape in the other side. Okay. And afterwards, you put this in the skin of the person, and you will use you will wrap that so it can be better and will not come out. And if you have any questions, please ask in our Q&A session that we will have soon. And yeah, thank you for watching.
We are on.
This doesn't say, is this on?
Can everyone? Oh,
It's not.
it's gonna.
Hello, Pedro.
I'm say because you can tap, tap to speak thing. That option as well.
We could say anything else.
All right, we're gonna start in a second. Sorry, we're just setting up the camera here.
It looks like you're now speaking through a Samsung mobile phone. Is that right?
Yeah, but the issue we're having is that if I use my Samsung phone and we're using a different phone for the video, it's never gonna pan to our actual video.
Right.
So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna turn off my Samsung and we're gonna see how the audio is with the iPhone we're using for the video portion. Okay.
Okay, good. I just wanted to let everybody know what was happening. Thanks.
Bluetooth off. Can you guys hear us? I just wanted to test.
Oh, there's a big echo.
Is anybody else on the meeting? Turn that one.
Let us know which device you want to use.
Can everyone hear us?
We can now, but not before. Keep talking. Let's test.
Yeah.
Testing. We just did a couple of things. We turned off the laptop and my Samsung phone. And so now we're speaking through the iPhone that's also doing our video. Can you hear us clearly or should we move it closer?
Sounds good.
It's good.
Perfect. All right. So now any question that you guys have had since Friday, which was our 6 health principles that were reviewed, or on Sabbath, our sermon that was given by Brother Ashwin, or anything you heard today, if there's any questions, please feel free to ask and we will try our best to answer them.
We will have to unmute everyone temporarily, I guess, to do that. What do you think, Jerry? Is that a smart idea or no?
I guess so, hopefully, but we'll try.
So everybody that's listening, please, we're going to unmute your phones so you can ask a question. But if there is background noise, please mute your phone, okay? Unless you have a question.
Pastor
Yeah, go ahead.
Steve and Brother Jerry, maybe you can use the chat and someone can just raise their hand or make a signal, or you can just unmute them if it becomes a problem.
Right. Okay. So that's a good idea. I think Jerry will keep an eye on that. So listen, all of you that are logged on to Zoom, if you have a question, you can hit the chat button and send your questions into the chat room, and then either I or Jerry will relay it to the presenters.
Or you can unmute them if they aren't the fastest typers as well.
I have a question for you all. Sorry, this is Sister Nikki. Can I ask for the team, because on Friday maybe some people weren't on the coronavirus lecture, and maybe there are some people who maybe missed certain treatments or natural remedies that you recommend. Can you just do a really quick summary of what people can do or herbs they can take that you highly recommend? Or is there any way we can get a protocol to them if someone is interested, how to protect their immune system because maybe they weren't able to see the lectures on Friday?
Well, I can start with an answer. We definitely have, if you missed Friday's lecture, we do have a document on our website, www.ucheepines.org. And you click on COVID-19 and there's a whole document there that talks about the different things that you can do from a lifestyle standpoint to prevent, you know, a virally loaded system from getting worse, or for treating, self-treating at home. And maybe it's a good time to say that in the near future, we are actually working on having an online virtual session that people can attend and learn how to do treatments at home. So just a little plug in for that. Recap, the virus is, there's no treatment, there's no drug, there's no vaccine. I mean, there are experimental things, but there's nothing that's actually being used right now as a treatment or cure, which means that all of the cases that recovered because their immune system was able to handle it, right? So the treatments that we would recommend are things that would essentially boost the immune system, and as well as going along with quarantine guidelines to prevent further spread, you know. So what are those things? Well, I mean, definitely there is adequate research, ample research that talks about getting enough sleep. When we lack sleep, it suppresses our immune system. Dealing with stress issues, stress will suppress the immune system as well. We have other, you know, other things that go along with it. Eating lots of junk food and this and that will definitely suppress the immune system. So what we want to do is get rid of all those things that may be suppressing the immune system. Dairy is a big one that does that. So getting rid of animal products is a very, very big thing. And dairy, meat, all of those things. And eating a whole foods, plant-based diet, you know, so eating lots of green leafy vegetables, lots of fruits which are high in vitamin C and other flavonoids that are necessary. There are other things that could also be taken. NAC is one of those things, and there are other things such as herbs that could be taken, ginseng and you know, these kind of herbs that are out there. But really the most important thing is you know, getting rid of those things that are suppressing the immune system, so the immune system has a chance to do what God designed it to do. It is God who designed the cells that can actually attack and kill virally loaded cells. So the other thing is that you can do hydrotherapy. So one of our favorite home remedies is the contrast shower. You just go home and you stand in the shower and do 3 minutes hot, 30 seconds cold. 3 minutes hot, 30 seconds cold. And you just continue doing that 5 to 7 times, and then you rest after that. Very important. Other things that can be done is a hot half bath. If you have a nice bathtub, you can sit in the bathtub of hot water. You want to start around maybe 102 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, did we do that this morning? We didn't do it this morning, so I'll just talk about it briefly. Basically, you sit in a bathtub of 102 degree Fahrenheit water, and you slowly increase the water temperature and monitor your oral temperature. And you want to get the oral temperature just up around 101 or 102 degrees Fahrenheit. You hold it there for 2 minutes, and then you cool off the water and you end the treatment and rest. And those things can also boost the immune system. So just doing things like that right from home are very good things that you can do to treat and prevent not just the coronavirus, but the flu in general. Any general bacterial infection, viral infection.
And for those who weren't here yesterday, you might have missed the acronym. For those who weren't here yesterday, you might have missed the acronym that helps us to remember all these principles. It's New Start. So NEWSTART. New Start. Ashwin talked about nutrition. Exercise is an immune booster. It also helps with sleep and prepare you for sleep. Water is tremendously important. That's the W. S for sunshine. T for temperance, avoiding those things that are harmful and using in moderation those things that are good. A for fresh air, which is also an immune booster, an antiviral. R for rest, which rejuvenates the body and helps it to build itself back up. And T for trust in divine power. You know, we can use all the natural remedies in the world, but it is actually divine power that causes those things to work. So New Start is just a simple acronym that helps you to remember all those principles. You can go down it like a checklist. Am I doing this? Am I doing this? Am I doing this? Those are all laws that will help keep our body in health.
And the last thing I mentioned.
Hello. I just wanted to say one thing here. Just it seems like maybe some of the presenters and the audience may not know, but all of the presentations have been recorded and are available on YouTube. So if you go to jacksonheightschurch.org, jacksonheightschurch.org, and scroll down just a little bit, you'll see the YouTube link, and you can go to the archives. Jerry is giving me the thumbs up too, so that's correct.
Thank you, Pastor Steve. I was actually gonna put a plug in for you guys. That's exactly what I was gonna say, but thank you for bringing it up. Any other questions?
Well, maybe while people are thinking about it, I always have many questions.
I have one. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
there we go. We'll take that.
Go ahead.
I don't know what happened with that individual. Maybe she heard me overlap and decided to back
No.
out. Oh, there she-
Hello.
Hello.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Pastor Siciliano. This is Lucy. Good morning, everyone.
Hi,
Thank
Lucy,
you.
no problem. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanna. Can you repeat one more time the web page name?
Yeah, it's so you know how to spell the name Jackson Heights, correct? So it would be Jackson Heights Church.
No, Pastor, I'm talking about the page from them. The
Oh,
news
sorry about that. I'll let them answer that. My apologies.
Yeah, you could definitely check out the videos that were already recorded on the Jackson Heights webpage. And if you wanted the information from Uchee Pines, it's www.ucheepines.org, ucheepines.org.
Ashwin,
Yes.
can you write it on the whiteboard behind you, maybe?
Good idea.
I'm typing in the text, the chat.
Oh, okay, we're gonna
Okay.
text it into the chat. So we'll send a link there.
ucheepines.org.
Kelly, where do you want me to write it?
And not only can you get the COVID-19 document that we have, but we also have a lot of counseling sheets there. So for any other kind of lifestyle disease or any kind of illness that you're suffering from, that would be one of the first places I would check is our lifestyle counseling sheets, because it gives you a step-by-step method on what we recommend doing for diabetes, hypertension and so on. So please look there as well. When you start looking to our website, you'll notice it's easy to navigate. You'll see different areas. And if you're interested also, those that we're presenting here, we're all trainees. So I'll put a small plug in about our educational program. So we do have 2 medical machinery programs that are a 6-month program for entry level and a 1-year program for advanced level. We do welcome you guys to look more into the education department and the programs we're offering to prepare us to give this health message to, our friends, our neighborhood, our communities as well.
Yeah, and Pedro, you bring up a really good point about lifestyle diseases. Most of the individuals who develop the critical cases of COVID-19, it's interesting that they had comorbidities or lifestyle diseases that were also there. Even the vast majority of individuals who or many individuals who are put on ventilators are either obese, or there are individuals who have diabetes or hypertension concurrently, and those things complicate the situation. And so a lot of the cases of COVID-19 that have become worse are the ones that actually had pre-existing lifestyle conditions. And so any lifestyle improvement is I'm going to say this carefully, but any lifestyle improvement is a way to improve your chances against the COVID-19. I was going to say to treat it, but people might not like that term, but it definitely can help.
None. Any other questions?
There's a question. Oh, sorry.
We have a question in the box. It says, as naturalists, what is your view on the virus? Will it stay with us long?
This virus is very interesting in the way that it came about, in the timing of it, the geographic locations of it, and there are a lot of theories that are out there, which I'm not going to get into, conspiracy or otherwise, but that's not what our focus is here. As far as how long will it be around and how will it affect us, I'm going to add that to the question. It's hard to say, but I don't believe, based on what we're seeing now in the hospital systems and the number of cases that are developing, I don't believe we've hit the peak of this yet. It's getting increasingly worse as the hospital systems are becoming overwhelmed, and some are projecting the peak of this will be around April. Some are projecting around May. But I'm gonna also add my part to that question, which is the effect of it. It's the effect of the COVID-19 that's really going to hurt us long term. And I'm not a prophet, I don't know. But just taking some educated guesses here, that we'll probably peak out around summertime, but because of the general effect in the world, the economic effect, also just general the hospital systems recovering from this. There was a document released, I think it was out of Germany, and some may be familiar. Walter White was talking about this, and they were projecting somewhere around 2 years or 3 years before the world really pulls out of this. And the important thing to know is it's okay. It's okay, because God has called us to live in these times. And as long as we are faithful in doing the part that He's asked us to do, we can expect that God will come through, not just this much, but all the way for us. So whatever that looks like, the world as we know it is not the same. That's the reality. But that's okay. It just means that we are to look up, our redemption draweth nigh.
And I'll just add the fact to follow what Brother Ash said is, we know this is a coronavirus, right? So we've known of coronaviruses before. We know how they're seasonal up to this time, and so the expectation is that the coronavirus, if it's anything like the other coronaviruses that we've seen in the past, it will probably continue to pop back up. And so that's why it's very important, as Brother Asher mentioned, that we look at the lifestyle that we have and we try to make the improvements as soon as possible, so that we can and then that support for those around us.
Any other questions?
So it seems like either I or Nicole have been trying to relay the questions. I guess I'll let Nicole do that since she's part of your team. There is one other question here, though, which I'll read since I'm on. Are there any remedies to boost the children's immune system? Did you get that?
Yeah, the same thing that will work for the adults will work for the children. So, you know, of course, with the honey, you don't want to give that to an infant. You want to be careful of that. But I mean, everything else is pretty much safe.
And there's always adjustments for children, right? I have a two-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 7-year-old, and so there's always small adjustments. The children may not be able to tolerate the same amount of heat in a water, in the water than an adult can, and they can't communicate as well, right? So it's just the parent knowing more of what their children can withstand and knowing what their cues are. You know, if something is painful or not painful. What I've been giving my children have been elderberry vitamins as well. I mean, we're following the lifestyle principles and laws that we know about, but I've been giving them the elderberry that has zinc and vitamin C as an extra boost to their immune system. But please make sure whatever you buy, read the labels, make sure that you understand how you should be using it. Yeah, Brother Eric is absolutely right. The same principles apply. You know, God is so great that He didn't just give a specific for a single person or a certain age or ethnicity. He gave 8 health principles that are all encompassing. Just maybe a little tweak based on your age and so on.
I have a question. Hello?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you, sorry.
Yes. In the low supply of masks, what is your recommendation?
Did I hear the question right? Because of the limited supply of masks, what's our recommendation?
Yes.
Is that what I heard? Okay. Well, we're expecting there to be, well, there already is a limited supply of masks, as you know. What we've seen in some other countries, I think it was the Czech Republic. I'm trying to remember where it was. There were a few places where they actually were creating their own cloth masks, sewing it together. The people just took charge and started doing that. Now, it's true that a regular cloth mask is not the same as an N95 or N99 mask, which will really filter out droplets and anything that carries. But it will still give some level of protection. First of all, just having something over the face by itself, that prevents you from touching your face, right? So that's one deterrent. But then, yes, from any coughing or scrapings, it's always nice to have an added barrier. And I think it's actually not a bad thing to have some kind of cloth, even if it's a scarf or something, which is better than nothing at this point. But of course, the big thing are the principles of hygiene. Even more important than the mask is the hand washing, the not touching your face, the coughing into the bent part of your elbow, and and if you have any symptoms, quarantining. And if you live with someone who has symptoms, you should be quarantining as well, so not to expose others. I hope that answers the question.
Was anything, I'll just ask a question to people out there. Was there anything that was unclear, anything that was demonstrated? Do you have any further questions? Did you understand it?
There are questions that I'm seeing in the chat room. I see 2. So if you are staying in the house, how can you get sunlight? I should let you know that in New York, the recommendation really is to stay at home as much as possible. And in the location where my church is, it's fairly urban. It's not the middle of Manhattan, which many people think about, but Queens and Brooklyn are still very urban in their setting. So I don't blame some of my members not to even want to go out. So maybe you could talk about some alternative way to get the benefits of sunlight in a setting like that. And there's another question after that too.
Okay. Daniel, if you want to.
I was just gonna put in vitamin D can help with. Okay. So vitamin D can be something very helpful. If you're not able to get sunlight, then vitamin D is really good for the immune system and just general vitality. So usually you can safely take 4,000 international units a day. You're not gonna get toxicity from taking that much vitamin D. So that can be helpful. Vitamin D3 is generally animal-based. If you want something that's more plant-based, you can get D2, or there are some D3s that are plant-based out there.
Yeah, and yeah, the plant-based vitamin D supplements, you can order them online. Of course, I don't know how that's going to work now, but definitely there is a vitamin D supplement that is of a plant source, and it's from lichen, which is a moss that grows around. And I mean, we have it growing around here on our campus, and you can definitely get vitamin D from that. But yeah, really, you can still maintain social distancing and go outside, you know? So if there is a way for you to go outside, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I understand in crowded, congested areas, it's a little difficult to do. But if at all possible, you know, wear a mask if you have to go through a crowded area, or not, stay at home, but and open a window. You know, that's another option, is you can open the window and allow the rays of the sun to get inside as much as possible. And so, and if you live in a place where there are no windows, or if you open the window, there's no sun, then, you know, go up on the roof or something, you know, go out in the car and drive away somewhere if you can, you know, but anything's better than nothing. You look at some of the parts of the world where they only get sun for like 6 months out of the year, and there's some serious issues, you know, that happen with that. So it's important to get the sun as much as possible in any way that you can.
And I would just put a plug in there, right? Brother Eric mentioned New Start. I mean, just being outside and walking, you check so many of the New Start, recommendations, or you check your exercise if you're taking a walk, you're working on your breathing in terms of air, you're getting sunlight. So yes, if possible, you know, obviously we need to follow the laws of the land. If possible, that good walk early in the morning, maybe when it's less crowded, but the sun's still out, just as much as you can, you know, be outside if allowed, and you feel better, you know, your mood improves. And so definitely try to go that route if possible. But the cracked window, I mean, I know it's hard sometimes because I think it's still pretty cold where you're at, but even having it cracked while you're sleeping, right, just to get that fresh circulation in. And I know it's hard. I lived in Michigan for most of my life, so I understand what cold weather is. But just leaving it the closest window near you, just slightly cracked open, just to get that fresh air while you're sleeping. You know, your body is repairing itself while you're sleeping, so it's important to have that fresh air as a good way for your body to continue to repair itself.
Yeah, it's
all right. I should let you guys know that the questions are coming in now, so keep that in mind.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
All right, so let me back up here because they're scrolling up on the page. One is similar to what you have just been talking about. In light of the new recommendation to wear masks, is it still safe to go out and get fresh air and sunshine? I think you probably covered that, but maybe you could address that specifically.
Yeah, it is definitely fine to get fresh air and sunshine. The key is the distancing, you know. So as long as you're not like, you know, taking the subway like with 100 people in order to make that happen, you know, because that may, you know, that might be, you might be unnecessarily exposing yourself. But if you're able to get out and, you know, in a way that's away from crowds and expose yourself to sunshine and fresh air, that will only be to your benefit.
And just to be,
watch out.
go ahead.
Just watch out for surfaces.
Yeah.
So if you're out, just be careful about the surfaces that you come into contact with.
Right. Just to be fair to the questioner, there was one other element in there. It wasn't just about the mask, but the latest research that the virus is more readily transmitted by even breath and things like that. So that was the basis of his question. The next question: is there a risk to go out even if you are not gathered in a group? I think we've been kind of talking around that, but go ahead, and because everybody has a different way of phrasing it. Yeah.
It's not quite what we would call an airborne virus. It's more like, well, let me back up. The virus is transmitted by droplets. So when you sneeze, achoo, when you cough, that's how it's spread, And so those things are typically projected around 6 feet or so, So it could be 4 feet, it could be, whatever. That sneeze, when it comes out, it's coming out at 90 miles per hour sometimes, So it travels fast and quick, fast and far. So if you're maintaining a distance, which we're not exactly doing to fit inside the screen here.
We're not coughing or sneezing. So.
Yeah. So, but what's really needed is the social distance,
Yeah.
and that's really what we'll do.
A follow-up question though. Maybe we're getting a little bit more intense news reports up here because we're in the thick of it. But the last couple of days, they've been saying it actually stays airborne for 3 hours or more. So it's not just the droplets anymore. I think this is what we're hearing, that it could be actually aerosolized.
Right. Now, it's also important to note that the coronavirus, not just this one, but coronavirus in general, it is a very flimsy virus. In other words, yes, it can stay on, as Eric mentioned, surfaces. I think, is it plastic? I think that it stays on the longest. Can't remember. I think it's plastic. But anyway, it can stay in the air for a time. It can stay on surfaces for a time. But it is also very flimsy in that it can be destroyed very easily with basic sanitary procedures. So if you wipe off the surface with Clorox or something, or even just washing your hands, and if you do come in contact with it, as long as you're not now taking that and carrying it to your mucosal membranes, it's okay.
So I'll keep the questions coming, so you guys know that they're still on the way. So one of our moderators actually asked twice, are there books you recommend for hydrotherapy and natural treatment? And just to give you guys a plug, well, after he asked the first time, I went to Amazon and Googled it, and guess which was the first hit that came up? The one by Agatha Fresh. So you can tell about the books and where they might be able to get those.
Yeah, there are definitely some books. One is called Simple Home Remedies by the Thrash Physicians. There's the Natural Remedies Encyclopedia is another one. There's Dr. Agatha's book, Simple Home Remedies, I think I mentioned that one. There are other books as well. Mary Beth Sinclair has one on hydrotherapy. I think it's called.
And Ashley,
I can't remember.
sorry.
I think
Do you mind if I put a plug in for the children? Dr. Akta has a children's healthcare.
You're not coming through clearly, Nicole.
Oh. Sorry. Doctor, hello, can you hear me?
Now that's better, yeah.
Okay, so for the person on the chat who asked about boosting their children's immune system, Dr. Akta also has a healthcare book for children and remedies for children. So, and you can purchase that on Amazon and from, yeah, I believe Amazon.
Children.
So
okay, that's great. That list of books that Ashwin was just mentioning, are those available at the Uchee Pines website, or is there yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, we do have an online store that you can find on our website. Again, www.ucheepines.org, where, by the way, you can also find other things, some herbals that can also help to boost the immune system. And you can definitely find the books on Amazon. You can even call up and we might be able to ship you things.
Yeah, and we typically do, and I'll throw in two more books that maybe you mentioned these, but there's one called Nature's Healing Way by Mary Ann McNeilis. The only reason I hesitantly bring that up is it's a great book. I love it. We've actually have been canvassing it for the past month, and it's been going very, people are wanting it because not only does it give you the 8 health principles, but it gives you how to do hydrotherapy at home and natural home remedies. And it gives you diagrams, so it really walks you through and it's simple. The only thing is it's out of publication, so it's hard to get. Amazon still has it. It's a bit more pricey because it is out of publication, but we do have quite a bit of them at our Country Life store and here at our Uchee Pines website. So if you want this simple book and it's not expensive, feel free to visit our website or give us a call and we can let you know which issues we have and how many we have. The second book I recommend is something called Hydrotherapy: Simple Treatments for Common Ailments. Did you mention this one?
No, I didn't.
Okay, and that's by Clarence Dale and Charles Thomas. And I'll repeat it one more time. It's called Hydrotherapy: Simple Treatments for Common Ailments by Clarence Dale and Charles Thomas. And that's also another hydrotherapy book specifically on hydrotherapy. And it's very simple, not too expensive, and it gives you such good information on how to do these treatments. And I've used it at home. I have it at home.
Maybe I can make a recommendation because you've listed a number of those already. Maybe you can create a little list for us after this, and then I'll distribute it to all the church members to make it a little bit easier.
And I wanted to mention there is an excellent DVD. If some people out there, would find it a little bit difficult using a book, there is a DVD that's wonderful. It's called Hydrotherapy: Water Treatments Made Simple, and it's by Rich and Rhonda Smith. They walk you through the many different treatments. I think there's probably around 15 to 20 on there, including the things that we did today. And there's also a bonus section that talks about charcoal and has handouts that let you know the materials you need for each one, as well as the step-by-step instructions, the indications, and the contraindications. So that is a really good resource also.
Yeah, and again, we will be definitely having online sessions we're working on bringing into play in the next couple of weeks, where you can come as a virtual patient to Uchee Pines, and we'll have videos as well on how to do all these things so that you can go through at home with personalized coaching to walk you through the steps.
All right, next question. I know that you tried to go through your morning presentations very quickly. Someone is asking, what is the ideal time to go to sleep?
Yes.
Sure. Generally, the hours between 8 o'clock and 12 o'clock are the best. So the earlier you can get to bed in that time range is ideal. When you go to bed after that, you're just the way that our circadian rhythms are set up with lights and everything, you're not going to get the deep sleep that you need, where your brain will heal, your body will repair, your immune system will be rebuilt. So the later that you go to bed in that time frame, the harder, well, you're still going to get benefit, you're just not going to get as much benefit.
Yeah, and as Eric mentioned, sooner before midnight, the better. We're even told, we have some counsel that 1 hour before midnight is worth 2 hours after midnight. And we can definitely see that to be true in the hormone peaks and different things. So if you're looking for a time, let's say try to get to bed by 9 o'clock if you can, that will give you plenty of time. And you find that most Americans, first of all, are sleep deprived. You need about 7 to 9 hours, somewhere in there. And if you think about it, if you miss just 1 hour of sleep per night for a week, it's like not sleeping for 1 day every week. And most people are missing 2, 3, 4 hours of sleep per night. And so it's like we're not sleeping for several days of the week. And that's why we have issues.
And something else that can help with sleep is it's not just the right time, but it's what happens around your sleep time as well. If I'm, working on a hard problem up until the time that I sleep, my brain is still going while I'm trying to rest. So it's good to have to maintain sleep hygiene. So that means about well, yeah, like 2 hours before you're gonna go to bed, you want to start limiting. You don't want to watch. You don't want to look at screens. You want to put your smartphone away. You want to get away from the TV, the computer, as much as possible. Also, getting exercise daily can help. I'm trying to think what else. Sure. Yeah. We'll let you go on
Okay,
with the other
all right,
questions.
next question. I think we got some of that covered. I just want to keep up with the list here. Let me see. Someone had asked a question about the seasonality of the virus. I think from what we've been reading up here is it is a novel virus. We don't really know yet. I do know that in some places where it is summer, like Australia and tropical countries, the virus is still spreading. So this one might be a little bit different. However, the specific question is there a possibility that the coronavirus, like the annual flu, will come back again and repeat even after this one outbreak?
Yeah, it's always a possibility. No, the coronavirus didn't just come out in 2019. You know, it existed even before that. This particular type of coronavirus, of course, is the one that's gone pandemic in the way that behavior. It does tend to have higher rates of pneumonia and deaths associated from that standpoint. And also, it is true that the way it's behaving here in the United States is, it seems to be a lot worse than it has behaved in any other country. So I agree that there's a lot we don't know about it, but I don't think it would be far-fetched to say that we could see it coming around again.
All right, next question. And this one is very specific. What kind of onion is good for onion treatments, red or yellow?
I think any onion is good. So I think whatever's available in your area, because I know I went to I'm not going to long story, but basically any onions that's available is a good onion to use.
Yeah, and onions are not just good topically as a poultice, but even internally. There were studies that showed that Welsh onions actually can inhibit herpes simplex virus. So it's interesting that it does have antiviral properties when used internally as a food or even externally as a poultice. We can use it that way.
Okay, I have two questions that are really just to clarify things you've said over the weekend. In the discussion of charcoal, the presenter, and I don't remember who did it at this point, the presenter mentioned that it does bind to different things in the system, but that suggests to me that we shouldn't be taking charcoal on like a regular daily basis, because I would assume it'll interfere with nutrition absorption as well. Is that correct?
Well, charcoal, and I'll just say my short part and you guys can comment, but charcoal, it tends to adsorb, so it'll draw towards itself and bind with toxins, things that are toxic, right? And so that's really the big thing that you'll find getting connected with charcoal. There were studies on individuals that took charcoal long-term, small amounts of charcoal long-term, and they actually found that taking a daily amounts of charcoal actually results in lower LDLs, the bad cholesterol overall, and things like that. So is it harmful? I would say there's very little chance of it being really harmful. Is it necessary? No, I don't think it's necessary for everyone to take charcoal every day. Can it help with certain conditions? I think it can help.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
After I asked that question, someone else.
You can go.
After I asked that question, someone added, on the topic of charcoal, can charcoal help with hives or severe and regular allergic reactions?
The answer is yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And the reason for that is that the charcoal will adsorb, it will pull the toxin that may be causing the immune system to react in that way. One of the things that I've seen work here very often is, I remember we had a gentleman who was breaking out in hives all over his body, and we weren't sure what was causing it. Different diets, he would still break out, even in fasting and different treatments, he would just break out. And the only thing that really worked was we actually filled up a tub with water, put some charcoal in it, and we just put his whole body in it, and that actually did stop the hives. Now, I do want to also say this: you want to be careful. It depends on how quickly things are developing. If you have hives and then you have the airway that's swelling and stuff like that, that might be the point where you might need more than just charcoal. You might need epinephrine to go along with that. But can the charcoal help? Yes, it definitely can. Yes, it can reduce hives.
Someone else added another part. What type of charcoal?
Okay.
Activated charcoal is the best. So usually you can, it's easy to determine. You go online and you just make sure that's activated.
You can say what you're gonna say.
Yeah, and what I was gonna add is that there is an important consideration. I'm not sure if the presenter included this or not, but if you're taking charcoal, you wanna take it 2 hours before, 2 hours after you take medication, because it can affect the medication's potency. So for example, if you're taking a blood pressure medication, your blood pressure might spike because you've taken charcoal and the medication is less effective. So keep that in mind also.
Yep. And the only thing I was going to add is that if you're going to be taking charcoal, remember you must have extra water or liquids coming into you, right? Because charcoal also tends to, dehydrate you and could lead to constipation or other issues, right? So just make sure as you're taking charcoal, it's very healthy. I mean, my children drink it as well. Just make sure that you're aware that you have to have extra liquids in you, right? Extra water as you're taking the charcoal.
And this is food grade activated charcoal, not the charcoal that you put on the barbecue.
Right. Yes. Very activated charcoal.
Food grade activated charcoal. Yeah.
You can almost get it anywhere. I mean, most of your health food stores. I think even Walmart may be selling some, and Amazon, right? So you can get it anywhere. So yeah.
We used to carry it in the ERs as well. I mean, ERs have been ambulances, they have activated charcoal. It works for lots of different things.
Last thing you just reminded me is make sure that, if you have hives or allergies, you can apply it topically, like Brother Celio mentioned, but also internally, right? So you would do both approaches. You would take it internally, and you would also put it on that spot, that you're breaking out on where you have hives. So you can use it both ways to make it more effective. Next question.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask one about the first night's presentation. The presenter referred to a book about vaccinations, but didn't get a chance to really tell us much about the contents of the book. This, as you know, is a volatile subject in the world in which many people have a lot of misunderstandings about vaccination. So I didn't want to just let that go by without giving you guys a chance to clarify.
Yes, the book is called, I'm trying to see if we have it sitting around in our room here. It's called Vaccines. Yes, James. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, it's called. I think it's called Vaccines.
Vaccines.
I can't remember what the. Yeah, there's something like that. Anyway, it's by Dr. Urban Davis. Yeah, vaccine. It's by Dr. Urban Davis. He's a friend and he's one of our staff members here, and he's done extensive research. There it is. Vaccine alternatives. That one there, you can show them. There we go. There's our charcoal presenter. So yeah, and I personally have a copy that I've read through. And I would say it is a very fair approach for somebody who may be in favor of vaccines or somebody who may not be in favor of vaccines. The book is not this is what you need to do. It's more like, this is what the evidence is out there. So this is what statistics say about this, about this, about this. And I thought it was a very fair presentation that's educating people on what the reality is about vaccines. And I think people who would be in favor of vaccines or who are not in favor of vaccines, I think both would enjoy that read.
What would you say about, though, the popular anti-vaxxer movement and the claims about autism and such?
I didn't hear the first part of it. What was,
What
can
would
you
you-
repeat that question?
Yeah, sure. What I was concerned about is more the popular movement of people that consider vaccines as a cause of autism and, are adamantly opposed. That's why I wanted you to address that.
Yeah. Well, I'll be careful in saying this, but yes, there are statistics associated and reports of autism and different things associated with different types of vaccines. Am I going to say that it is the cause of this? No, I'm going to refrain from getting into that discussion, honestly, because there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of unknowns in that, and I don't know if you want to comment on that as well. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go to an easier question. How about apple cider? How about apple cider vinegar? You didn't mention anything about that.
Apple cider vinegar. Okay, what about it?
Well, I mean, in general, I don't think we recommend it ourselves here. Just because we have counsel that vinegar is an irritant to the stomach, to the body. So we refrain from using it for the most part internally. Thank you. Internally, but it might be something good in certain areas externally, but for sure we don't ask for people to be taking it just because we do have counsel and it's been proven. So we stay away from whether it's apple cider or just vinegar, plain vinegar itself.
So one of the effects of vinegar is if you take it with food, since it's a fermented product, it can actually accelerate fermentation in the stomach. And we know with all these things coming out with leaky gut and things that it can cause a number of problems if we have fermentation in the stomach. So that's one reason to avoid it.
Yeah, and I mean there is a point where there are studies for things, and then there's a point where we have the Word of God. And we have to weigh and say, okay, well, there's studies, but we have the Word of God. Which one will be more accurate? And when we see it historically as a church, God has given us much light long before there were studies to show things. While doctors were still recommending tobacco and alcohol and strychnine and arsenic as treatments for disease, we were told as a church, no, stay away from those things. They're harmful, and so it's always safe to rely on the Word of God, even when the medical recommendation may be something, because they just haven't caught up yet to what God has revealed, And now that being said, there are studies on apple cider vinegar with weight loss and with this and with that, and that people are testing, but what they probably don't know is the counsel that we have in the church, and that's why we're choosing to stay away from it. Now, externally, vinegar can be very beneficial for dealing with fungal infections, so toenail fungus, things like that. You can just soak your feet in vinegar, and that can really help as well.
Okay, someone's posted a question, and I know the background of this because he and I had discussed an article that we both saw online. The question reads, I'll read it as it says, but then I'll clarify a little bit. In regard to garlic, how much should we consume? And it says, apparently there have been some studies saying that garlic isn't good, especially in this pandemic we're in. However, I know the article, that wasn't the point of the article. The point of the article was to tell people that garlic is not going to cure them of coronavirus. So you can deal with that question altogether. But so it's a two-part question. How effective, or maybe I should phrase it this way. Should a person depend upon garlic to cure them of the coronavirus? That was really the point of the article. And then the second question is, how much garlic should people be eating?
Okay, so let's break down the question in the two parts and answer it that way. So the first one is about can garlic help with coronavirus? So
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's antiviral, antifungal. I mean, it's just, it has amazing properties, right?
Yeah, and it does have immune boosting effects. Are we gonna say now? Let's be true to the question. Are we gonna say that relying on garlic alone is the cure for coronavirus? No, I don't think we believe that. It's the whole thing together. Segueing to the second part of the question, which is how much garlic to take, right? And my personal answer is it depends. It depends on who you are, on meaning like your medical situation and what other medicines that you may be on, or what you're trying to accomplish as well. That's another thing. Is it going to? We're not going to say, okay, garlic is the cure-all for the coronavirus. No, we're not going to say that. But does it hurt to take garlic while there's a coronavirus pandemic? No, it doesn't hurt to take garlic. If you are someone who has cardiovascular disease or has had, a stent put in, or you're taking blood thinners, things like that, then yes, garlic can interfere with some of the blood thinning medications. So you'd have to work with your doctor and be really careful with that. People have been able to come off their blood thinners using just garlic, but they would have to take raw garlic, and somewhere in the ballpark of 10 cloves of garlic a day of raw garlic. So that's just to keep that in mind, that it has that blood thinning effect as well. So that's really the major concern when it comes to garlic dosing is blood thinning. I think it's the most urgent thing. Other than that, I mean, you could take, sure, safely 10 cloves of garlic a day, which is kind of hard to do for a lot of people, but taking 2 or 3 or taking 6 or 7, I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's not gonna really hurt you.
And I think it is a benefit. I might be doing it. I'm taking garlic. And you say how much to take. I recommended garlic to my sisters, and they took to so much that, remember, this easily can come out of your pores. So someone might just say, hey, someone's been eating a lot of garlic without you even speaking. So at some point, you're gonna have to moderate how much you take either way, just because it does come out of your pores. But it is healthy, it is beneficial in many ways, not just for the coronavirus, but in general, as an immune booster, and ways to navigate around other bacteria and viruses that are out there.
And some people taking blood thinning medications, you might hear from your physicians, well, don't eat green leafy vegetables, or and just like Ashwin mentioned, garlic can interfere some. And some people might take the stance, well, then that limits what I can eat. But it doesn't necessarily. If you have a consistent diet, you can just take that diet to your physician, and you can work around your diet so that instead of modifying the diet, the amount of medication dosage is modified, so that you can still take in these green leafies, you can take in garlic, you can take in other things that would affect you.
Yeah, we would definitely be happy to have individuals come to our lifestyle center as well, who want to be personally worked with our medical staff to find that balance, if that's what we're doing.
All right, we're gonna try to keep it shorter. So next question, sorry about that.
Yeah, we're back to garlic. Another question about garlic, and we have 2 more coming down the line. In regard to what you said a minute ago about the smell of the garlic coming out of your skin, my wife overheard that part. She said that will promote social distancing.
I didn't think about that, so that, praise the Lord.
All right, now back to the question though. One of the members said that they tried eating raw garlic once. They're used to eating cooked garlic. They tried it raw, but it irritated the stomach. Is there any way to prevent that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
You can. How long is it steaming for?
2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, if you steam it, it can take the bite out of the garlic. Steam for 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah,
and you can also bake it, right? I mean, so steaming is preferred, I believe. But I mean, you can also bake some. That way you have some stored in your fridge or somewhere where you can, don't have to steam every single time or bake.
Yeah, steaming essentially will maintain some of the properties that may be beneficial for certain things like blood pressure and things like that. But but yeah, another thing is don't eat it on a empty stomach. You know, you want to eat it with something. Because yeah, garlic can be pretty hot.
Right. Okay, next question. Oh, looks like Nicole wants to say something.
Yes, also we recommended capsules to help with those who might be irritated. So there's like brands like Heolic garlic capsules. I think some of you can easily buy that at the health food stores. And, you know, that would be possibly more tolerable than the raw garlic, even though we do still recommend, you know, getting it in its whole state. But for some, the capsules would just also be helpful.
Okay, good. Next question. This one, I had taken red onions. Wait a minute. I had taken and cut red onions to put by me in bed to assure no mucus builds up. I'm not sure exactly what that question means. Did you say something about actually?
I was told.
What?
I was told to cut red onions and put by my bed to assure no mucus builds up.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Is this helpful?
I think that the idea of keeping onion by the bed is to purify the air more so than it is to keep mucus away. I haven't heard anything about onion preventing mucus buildup.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not generally something that I personally recommend. But another thing is, I mean, you know, just by what happens when you cut an onion, you know, it makes you tear up and things. But it's also the vapor that can come out of the onion, maybe
Antiviral,
and might be able to help clear the sinuses a bit. I don't know that it prevents mucus buildup. I'm not.
What's more effective, maybe? Maybe we can
Yeah.
explain what's more effective than cutting an onion.
Yeah, that's essentially what where my mind is going is I don't think the onion prevents mucus buildup. I think what prevents mucus buildup is removing things from your diet that causes mucus buildup, such as dairy products and oily fried foods and things like that. For most people, it's milk. That's the big one. You know.
Okay, next question. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just saying, what if it's a cold or or a flu, and so that's part of, it's not necessarily something they're eating, but it's an illness that's causing it. What's the recommendation?
Yeah, still doing the hydrotherapy, like we mentioned, the fomentations, as you mentioned, and doing an onion poultice over the chest that can really help with coughing, things like that.
All right.
And a lot of water can help you to get break up the mucus and expel it.
Getting warm water as well.
Okay, so here's a different topic. It's very interesting. A gym goer and occasional power lifter. Of course, he can't do that during this shutdown, but the question is, now that he's a vegetarian or is a vegetarian, what types of supplements would you recommend for an avid gym goer and power lifter like myself, especially to give energy?
You know, there is a whole community of vegan bodybuilders, and these guys are a force to be reckoned with. I mean, they're not weaker or even smaller in mass than the omnivorous or carnivorous counterparts, and so it's just, I don't know if supplementation is as important as having a balanced diet, and then of course knowing how heavy you need to lift. And our beloved camera guy is reminding us of the elephant. And it's true, the elephant is like one of the strongest animals on the planet, and they're completely plant-based, you know.
I have 100% agree. I mean, we have someone on campus here who maintains a very good muscle mass on him. And when I ask the question, are you taking anything? And typically they don't. I mean, once in a while they may, but if you have a well-balanced diet, you shouldn't have to worry about it at all.
Yeah, and there's a myth out there that you need to take high amounts of proteins, but what we find is that when you take higher amounts of proteins, it can actually be damaging to your kidneys. So we don't want to do that. And the way that plant protein behaves in the body is very different from the way animal protein behaves in the body, even when people are in kidney failure. So it's always healthy to have a good amount of plant protein. So eating, the beans and, grains, right? And
nuts.
yeah. And so just getting that in and really for the energy, the thing with energy is if you have enough whole carbohydrates, whole grains, complex carbohydrates, I should say, then that will supply the chemical energy. And then just by expending the energy, you're actually stimulating mitochondria development and at the cellular level. So that by itself, when you eat the complex foods and eat whole foods, and then when you expend the energy and exercise and things like that, then, I mean, there's not really any need for much more than that.
Okay. Just two more that are here. What is your time frame? We're getting close to noon, which was our original end point. Do you, well, one question I think I can lump together with some of the others. It says, do you guys do cooking demonstrations? Do you have recipes or something? So why don't you just review one more time the different media and ways that, people can jump on and see what you're doing there.
I'll try some of this, but I mean, feel free to please chime in. But basically, our main ministry here is the Lifestyle Center, right? So if you come here as a guest, you will have personalized cooking classes in our demo room that has multiple setups for, for learning how to cook, how to bake and so on, and how to prepare a good, wholesome diet specifically for you as a person, depending on what you're dealing with. Now, if you're wanting just a general cooking school, as someone working in the education department, we actually go to places like we wanted to go to New York. But with this COVID-19, we couldn't do this, but we offer cooking schools as well on Sundays where we grab a couple of ingredients. We give you a breakfast, usually a lunch and a dinner, and we demo how we can have good ingredients, healthy ingredients that can offset some of our common ingredients that are not as healthy, right? The other thing we do is our Country Life store does do cooking demos, typically weekly or bi-weekly, sometime during the month. So I'd recommend if you're near that area, please do that. And with the new approach of having this online sessions, they're going to be posting videos and doing cooking schools live as well. So that's a third option as well. And we have plenty of cooking, if you want cooking books, sorry, cookbooks, Aaron. We have plenty of them here at our Uchee Pines store and at our Country Life store.
Online as well. You can get some.
Yeah, you can order them right offline. You can call in. I mean, whatever's easier for you. So again, that's at ucheepines.org. And I don't really, cookbooks it's hard to find like this is the best one. But I have one recommendation that I will make because I use this cookbook myself. And it's not really a cookbook, it's a website. There's a website called Jennifer's, and it's plural, jenniferskitchen.com, I believe, or .org. She's a wonderful dentist who is in Michigan, and she has very healthy, simple recipes that anybody can make, and you never get tired of them because she has different recipes and they're free. You go to her website, she charges you nothing. The only thing she charges is if you want to go through a I think weight reduction kind of treatment that she offers or schedule. But other than that, every recipe is free and they're nutritious. She covers her carbohydrates, her protein. Her dishes basically cover what you need.
Yeah, and, I'm really good friends with the family, and they have a powerful ministry as well in other things for sure.
Absolutely. There are two quick resources that I wanted to mention. One is the 10 Talents cookbook. It's really good. It's basically like an instruction manual on cooking. Really good. There's another one that's an online resource. It's called Ruby. So that's ROUXBE. And there's a cooking program that they have called Culinary RX, so Culinary Prescription. And this is actually a program that providers are actually prescribing for their patients. And they will have them go through this program. It takes about 2 months if you do it just maybe 4 hours a week. So that's also something that you can look into. Nice.
All right, a couple of more questions, then we're done. One is, will mixing garlic and olive oil be helpful?
Yes, it could be, but we tend to use the combination. Are you asking garlic and olive oil? Is that what I heard? Okay, so what we tend to use garlic and olive oil for is we crush the garlic and let it steep or sit in olive oil, for 24 hours or so. And then you can use what happens is the garlic extract will kind of infuse into the olive oil, and you can take them and use them as ear drops for ear infections.
I've done that.
Yeah, that works really well.
Yeah, our crime person has like a recommendation, so he's coming on set.
Just one thing that I would like to mention is that lemon juice, if you use that with the garlic, takes the burning sensation a little bit. And also for persons that are concerned about the smell of garlic, a person that lives with me in the dorm takes parsley, so it can neutralize the smell of garlic. So that is something to mention too.
Amen. Thank you for the advice. So Pastor Steve, that's something your wife hopefully it would help.
Or we could stay to the social distance.
Or social distance.
All right, here's an important one. I want to definitely make sure we get this in. It came in late or at the end here. I am severely allergic to some tree nuts, but you are saying that nuts are essential for a healthy lifestyle. What can I do? Are there any alternatives?
I don't know. Are you saying you have to have nuts?
No, I wasn't saying. I was saying that was when I mentioned nuts. I said that's a way that you can get protein. But you can also get just as much protein from beans and grains and even vegetables have and seeds. Correct. Yeah, but even vegetables have a good amount of protein in them. So you don't have to go to nuts.
And I will for the bodybuilder and the person asking this question, I think protein, like Brother Ashton said, is overrated. I think if you try to, just a normal person looking up how much protein do I need, the standards that are maybe out there may not be exactly right for optimal health, to be honest. So you gotta also, as a vegan or vegetarian, you gotta understand that because the plant-based proteins react differently, that you may not need as much as what's recommended if you're taking in meat protein as opposed to vegetable plant protein. Yeah.
Okay, one last one then, I guess, and then we're about ready to close. What about massage therapy? Apparently, maybe you didn't mention that along the way. What is the contribution of massage and massage therapy?
For generally, or do you mean like in this context with COVID-19?
The question doesn't specify, but I'm going to guess it's just in general as a contributing to overall health.
There's a lot of good things, and I can defer afterwards to these guys, but there's a number of things that massage can do. One is it moves the lymph around in the body, and that can help to. So the lymph is the fluid that's outside of the cells. When the cells put out their waste products, and viruses can be in that as well. So it helps to remove that. Now, in cases when there's an active infection, you might want to be careful about massage because it can actually spread infection. But massage is also good for relaxation, good for, it's really good for helping people get sleep. It can relax them. So those are some benefits. I don't know if you guys have others you would.
Yeah, did you want to say? Well, there's definitely, we call it tissue manipulation, and there's different techniques that are good for different things, so there's sports massage, for example, versus Swedish massage, and you can actually, a good massage therapist can really know how to deal with real issues like sciatica and, low back pain and, things like that people really deal with. You can definitely resolve it many times with massage therapy. and even other things, just the fact that when you manipulate the tissues, you're bringing more circulation to that area, which can bring healing. You can break up adhesions. So many times people are in pain because there are, there's basically tissues that are sticking to tissues in places they shouldn't be. And you can actually break that up. You can also loosen the fascia that bathes basically all of your muscles in, and you can loosen that up, which can also be beneficial. So yeah.
All right. I just want to bring the program to a close. It's exactly 12 noon according to my computer. First of all, I want to thank you guys for investing so much of your time since Friday night until now in enlightening my church members into topics they may not have heard about before. And we appreciate your work for us and what you're doing down there in Uchee Pines. I also want to give a shout out to my Family Life Ministries director, Sister Saholi, who was the one who made the contacts with you, her and her team. I think there's only one thing left to do. I want to assure my church members that are listening that we will coordinate with Uchee Pines maybe to get a list of some of those resources and websites. So we'll send them on to you so you can look up some of the topics for yourselves. Other than that, it's time to have a closing prayer. Shall we pray?
Thank you.
Father in heaven, we're looking up to you with thanksgiving in our hearts for yet another day of life and for all of the wonderful resources that we still have available to us, even in this time of crisis. At the same time, of course, we're concerned about our families, friends, and neighbors, and brothers and sisters throughout the world who are under siege right now, it seems, from this very deadly contagion. We pray for your intervention, as I prayed 2 nights ago when we started this program, this series, that you would continue to intervene directly through the means that you've given us and through enlightening the world leaders and health professionals to know the best way to mitigate and repulse this deadly coronavirus. Please continue with us today, and I guess more especially, Lord, help us to continue with you in spirit. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure.
Yes.
God bless you guys.
Thanks in behalf of everybody. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. God bless.
God bless you.
Good presentation. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.